Hey guys, it's Tim Shermack. If you're here for the High Hanging Fruit webinar, I just want to let you know you are in the right place. We're going to get started here in about 30 seconds. So if you're here for the High Hanging Fruit webinar, you're showing up to get a free copy of the book, you are in the right place. We'll get started with the webinar in just about 30 seconds here. So you are in the right place. We'll get rocking and rolling really soon. Hey guys, so if you are here for the High Hanging Fruit webinar, again, you are in the right place. My name is Tim Shermack. I'm the author of the book High Hanging Fruit, as well as the CEO of Platform Marketing. So I just want to welcome everyone who's joining us this morning. Everyone is going to get a free copy of the book High Hanging Fruit. So I'll share details on that at the end of the webinar, how you can get that book for free. No strings attached. You don't have to buy anything or anything. We're just going to give you a free copy. So again, if you're just hopping on, everyone will get a free copy of that book. And what we're going to be discussing this morning is the marketing strategies from this book, High Hanging Fruit, and how you can use them to generate more leads as a realtor. Really, the name of the game in real estate is lead gen, right? An agent who's making, $400,000 a year in GCI isn't 4 times better at being a real estate agent than an agent who's making 100K in GCI. But most of us haven't gotten clear on that mentally. We think, oh, they must be doing something different or they're in a hotter market. 9 times out of 10, if someone's making more money than you, the difference is represented by marketing. So that's what we're going to talk about is this high hanging fruit marketing strategy. What exactly does that mean? So I'm going to teach you some of the Facebook ad strategies from the book High Hanging Fruit. We're going to talk about how to convert these leads. And I'm going to show you some examples of agents that have actually doubled and even tripled their GCI using this high hanging fruit idea. So again, my name is Tim Shermack. I'm the CEO of Platform Marketing, as well as the author of the book High Hanging Fruit. And everyone who's hopping on here, I noticed we just had a surge of people join here in the last minute. Everyone is going to get a free copy of the book. So if you'll excuse me, I'm going to hop into screen share mode, guys. Give me about 10 seconds to hop into screen share, and we'll get rocking and rolling. All right, cool. You should be able to see my screen here as I hop into PowerPoint here. So this is a live webinar too. I want to make that clear. According to my cell phone here, it is 10:05 a.m. Eastern time, Wednesday, June 20th, right? So right now, what's all over the news is the controversy about the kids being separated from their parents at the border. The only reason I say that is because I want you guys to know that that is a current event happening right now, and it's a live webinar. So I don't want you to think that this was recorded from 2 years ago or a year ago or something like that, right? The Warriors recently swept the Cavs in the NBA Finals, in 4 straight games. And so, again, I'm telling you that because I want you to know this is a live webinar, right? This is a live webinar. So let's dive right into this, because the one thing that annoys me about so many webinars is that a lot of hosts that do these, marketing trainings have a bad habit of talking for 45 minutes about absolutely nothing, and it's just fluff, fluff, fluff. So let's dive right into the substance here of what is high hanging fruit. What the heck does that actually mean, and how can you use this high hanging fruit idea to generate more leads and ultimately grow your business as a realtor? So high hanging fruit is kind of a contrarian marketing idea. It's really the opposite of what most agents do. High hanging fruit is the mentality that if we're generating leads, if we're going to be spending money on marketing, right, which I know that all agents do, whether they're spending $2,000 a month or whether they're spending $200 a month on marketing, all agents spend a little bit of money on advertising and marketing, right? So high hanging fruit is this idea that if you're going to be spending money on marketing, it's better to generate high hanging fruit leads than low-hanging fruit. And so I define high-hanging fruit as a lead at the top of the sales cycle. So high-hanging fruit is a lead at the top of the sales cycle who might not be ready to actually buy or sell for another 2, 3, 4 months, right? They're certainly not ready to go today, right? If they're ready to go today, like if it's a buyer lead who's ready to get pre-approved, or a buyer lead who's already pre-approved and they want to go start house hunting, now, right? That's what I call low-hanging fruit, right? It's someone who's ready to go right now. Or if it's a seller lead, right? It's a homeowner in your area. They've already cleaned up their house. They're ready to have you over for a listing appointment and get the house on the market, within the next week or two, right? That's low-hanging fruit. And culturally, we usually use the phrase as a culture, low-hanging fruit, to talk about something or describe something that's easy to get, right? Low-hanging fruit are the easy leads, right? But in the context of real estate, the reason I've created this distinction between high-hanging fruit leads and low-hanging fruit leads is I think low-hanging fruit are actually a more difficult way to grow your business. So paradoxically, going after low-hanging fruit, so like buying leads from Zillow, buying leads from Realtor.com, right? The way that typically most agents try to grow their business, they buy these low-hanging fruit leads. Paradoxically, it's actually not even really low-hanging fruit because that's where all the competition is. So 99% of all the marketing dollars, as well as the time and energy of agents across the country, is spent chasing and competing over the low-hanging fruit leads. And so because that's where all the competition is, everyone wants those expired listings, right? Because they might be ready to list again immediately. Everyone wants the for sale by owners because we already know they want to sell their house. We just need to convince them to list with me, an actual licensed agent, and get them access to the MLS, et cetera, right? Everyone wants those low-hanging fruit leads because in theory, that's the fastest, quickest way to grow your business, right? But the problem is, in reality, it's kind of a paradox because if that's where all the competition is, it's really not low-hanging fruit. And so again, high-hanging fruit is kind of this contrarian idea I developed a few years ago where if I'm going to spend money on marketing, if I'm a realtor and I'm going to spend money on lead generation, I would rather spend money at the top of the funnel, at the top of the sales cycle, generating leads that are maybe 2 months out, they're 3 months out, maybe even they're 4 months out, right? So it's June right now. Maybe we're getting leads that aren't actually ready to go until like mid-September, right? So if we generate those high-hanging fruit leads, the cool thing that happens is there's no competition for those leads. No other agents are chasing those leads that are maybe 90 days out, or maybe even they're 4 months out, right? There's no competition for those leads. So I'll show you in this webinar not only why generating those leads is cheaper, but you'll also convert a higher percentage of those leads because you're not competing against 10 other agents that called them the same day that you did, like you do with, like Zillow leads, right? So we're going to talk about in this webinar what this high-hanging fruit idea is. And I will share with you some specific Facebook ad examples of campaigns that are working right now to generate high-hanging fruit leads. So this text I hear that I have on the screen, the part I wanted you to focus on is actually at the very end. Like, yeah, they picked up some buyers and some listings, and that's all great. But at the very end, it says, my pipeline is full. So that's what high-hanging fruit is all about. It's about having the courage and having the business vision to build an actual pipeline so you don't have to worry about where your next, commission and closing is going to come from, right? If you constantly are generating high-hanging fruit leads, you'll have a constant pipeline of business that's closing. So when you roll into the fall, when you roll into the winter, maybe the slower times for you as an agent, you'll have a constant stream of business coming because you're generating high-hanging fruit leads. And so again, I'm going to share with you plenty of examples in this webinar of agents that have doubled and in some cases even tripled their GCI using this high-hanging fruit idea. And then at the end, of course, everyone is going to get a free copy of the book, High-Hanging Fruit, as well as a special other bonus I'll share a little bit later. So high-hanging fruit is about generating leads at the top of the sales cycle so that you don't have to worry about competition from other agents. If you're the only realtor they're talking to, your conversion rate is going to be way, way higher. I mean, that's just a fact, right? So when I talk about high-hanging fruit, I always like to create the distinction that it's not just a tactic. So high-hanging fruit isn't just a tactic. It's really not even a strategy either, if I'm being honest. It's kind of at a bigger picture level than a tactic or a strategy. High-hanging fruit, kind of at like the 10,000 foot level, like the big picture perspective, it's really more of a philosophy. it's kind of a new way of thinking about marketing. You know, I'm going to show you specific Facebook ad examples in this webinar of Facebook ad campaigns that are working right now to generate leads for about $3 a piece. You know, so that means every $100 you spend on these high-hanging fruit style Facebook ads, every $100 you spend, you should get about 30 leads or more, right? So I'm going to show you those specific ads, but I don't want you to think that high-hanging fruit is just about Facebook ads. That's my favorite method to use right now. That's my favorite tactic to use, but Facebook ads are a tactic. High-hanging fruit is the overall philosophy that guides that, right? So you can use high-hanging fruit in direct mail and Facebook ads and newspaper ads, in whatever area, you know, or marketing tactic you want to use it. I personally prefer Facebook ads because I've found that most of our clients that work with us are getting the best results with Facebook ads. But I do want to be clear right away that high-hanging fruit isn't just a tactic. It is kind of a big picture way of rethinking your marketing strategy itself, okay? So here's what we're going to cover in the next hour. And to be clear, this is not like a 2-hour or a 3-hour webinar, all right? What I normally do is I'm hired by, you know, a brokerage, or I'm hired by a top performing team sometimes, and I'll do like an 8-hour consulting day with them and kind of train them and implement this high-hanging fruit marketing campaigns for them in an 8-hour day. I'm in this webinar essentially attempting to compress that all into a 1-hour webinar. So this is not going to be a 4-hour webinar or a 3-hour webinar or anything crazy like that. I am going to try to finish in the next 60 minutes. So I'm going to talk fast. So please take notes, because I obviously have a lot to get through in the next 60 minutes. So here's what we're going to be talking about. Why I believe most internet leads suck. We're going to talk about the Google industrial complex and why leads are getting so expensive for realtors in the last couple of years. If you've been using Zillow for a couple of years, or using, you know, Realtor.com, or even using other marketing companies like Boomtown or Commissions Inc., you know, some of the big ones, you've noticed that leads have gotten more expensive in the last couple of years. So we're going to talk about the actual reason why that's happening and how you can cut out the middleman and get much cheaper leads than you're used to paying from Zillow, as well as actually improving your conversion rate. That's a major theme of what we talk about here, because it doesn't really help you at all if you generate a bunch of leads for $2 a piece, but the conversion rate is 0.5%, you know, because then you just waste your time trying to filter through crap leads. And so again, that's why I love high-hanging fruit. Not only are you going to generate a lot more leads, but the conversion rate on these leads is way higher because of the way that we generate the leads. All right, at the very end of this webinar, I'm going to share with you the $500 marketing campaign that I believe everyone here should implement. This is that other special bonus I mentioned. So if you stick around to the end, not only are we going to give you a free copy of the book High Hanging Fruit, I'm also going to share with you the specific $500 marketing investment that I believe can catapult everyone's business forward. So if you hang on to the end, I'll share all that with you. So let's dive into this. Actually, one more thing before we get going here. You'll notice that in the bottom right, it says platform, and it has the platform logo. Platform is the name of the marketing company that I started. And so in this webinar, you might hear me say high hanging fruit strategy. You might hear me say platform strategy. That basically means the same thing. Platform is just the name of the company I started, where we're a marketing agency and we just take over your marketing if you're a realtor, and we create all your ads for you. So like sometimes agents will watch this webinar, and rather than trying to do everything themselves, they just hire us to create all their ad campaigns and their lead gen funnels for them. So that's what platform is. Platform is just the name of the marketing company where we do all your marketing for you as a realtor. High hanging fruit is just the name of the book I wrote about the process, right? So if you hear me say the platform strategy or the high hanging fruit strategy, they mean the same thing. I'm talking about the same thing. So here's a quick 20-second video of Kim Litke. Kim is a realtor in kind of the outer suburbs of Chicago. And here's just a quick story of her talking about how this high-hanging fruit strategy actually works, and it's actually getting her real business. So it's not just theory, it actually works.
Hey, it's Kimberly Litke, and I just wanted to share a quick story with you. I had taken my son for his baseball pictures, and while I was waiting for him, I had two people come up to me and say they recognized me from Facebook and needed some help with real estate. One was to list her parents' house for sale, and the other was to help a sister look for a home in the area. So the videos definitely help, and they are working. That retargeting platform doing its job. Thanks again.
Again, Kim is a realtor in the outer suburbs of Chicago, and she was at her kid's baseball game, and two total strangers walked up to her, and they're like, "Hey, we recognize you, from your Facebook ads." And it turns out she's getting a listing out of it, and a buyer. And so that's just a real life example of this system working, right? So
hey everybody.
Again, everyone is going to get a free copy of the book. This is the final video I'll show you here. This is Jonathan Garrick. He's a realtor in Southwest Florida, and this is Jonathan talking about how in his career, in his business, he had read all the common books, right? He had read like The One Thing by Gary Keller and The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller, right? All the books that pretty much every ambitious agent has read, right? The work of Gary Keller. But he found that those books were great for setting goals and kind of planning the vision of his business going forward. But he was still looking for that next step. Like, what's the actual practical next step I have to take to actually generate the number of leads that would be necessary to hit my goals? Because, it's great if you get all excited and you get on an emotional high and you set really ambitious goals, for this year. But if you aren't actually doing something different in your marketing and you're not generating more leads so that you can realistically hit those goals, it's not really a goal, it's just a wish, right? So high hanging fruit was kind of the missing link for him that allowed him to actually take action to hit his goals and allowed him to generate the number of leads that would be necessary to actually hit his goals.
It's Jonathan Garrick, real estate agent in Southwest Florida with Keller Williams Realty, and I'm here today to talk to you about the book High Hanging Fruit and the Platform System. And if you've never read any of the books by Gary Keller, The One Thing or The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, they give you the real big picture thinking on how to come up with a business plan and to grow your real estate business. This is the rocket fuel to that system, to actually how to market your business and yourself effectively. So definitely, if you're interested in this book, pick up a copy and also contact Platform. It was one of the best business decisions I've ever made.
Again, so the book High Hanging Fruit for him was kind of like a missing link. He had already made his goals. He had his business vision planned out, but it was kind of the missing link that allowed him to actually take action and hit those goals. So again, everyone is going to get a free copy of that book. This is a 20-second video, I promise. It's literally a 20-second video. And the only reason I'm going to show you this video as we get going here is this is an example quick of a realtor who didn't just double their business and they didn't just triple their GCI. They actually quadrupled it. Now, here's the catch. This is the only example I have so far of someone who's actually quadrupled their GCI. So I'm not claiming that everyone who watches this webinar is going to magically quadruple their GCI, in the next year. But it is possible. I'm showing you this video because it's possible that you can actually quadruple your GCI. And there are tons of realtors, of more examples I'll show you at the very end of the webinar, of agents who have actually doubled and tripled. So we can pretty consistently double an agent's GCI if they actually take action on this high hanging fruit marketing system. But here's an example just to inspire you of what's possible of someone who actually quadrupled their GCI.
Hey guys, if you're still skeptical about high hanging fruit, let's just break down the numbers real quick. In 2013, I did 25 deals. I then implemented high hanging fruit platforms so that in 2014, I went from 25 to 50 deals. In 2015, I went from 50 deals to 70 deals, baby. And now in 2016, I'm making over 100 transactions so that you know. And now that I have my team in place in 2016, just imagine what I'm going to do in 2017. Make it a phenomenal day.
Again, he quadrupled his GCI. So again, you notice I talk fast. Please grab a pen and paper so that you can take notes. So really quickly, the book High Hanging Fruit isn't actually the first book I wrote on marketing. The very first book I had published was Main Street Marketing. But what happened was a lot of small business owners who read this book happened to be real estate agents. Because I didn't write Main Street Marketing specifically for realtors. It was kind of just a general small business marketing book that introduced my ideas about how I think small businesses should be generating leads, in 2018 and beyond. And so I wrote this book just for any brick and mortar small business owner, a dentist, a coffee shop, an insurance agency, a used car dealership, right? Just your typical Main Street brick and mortar small businesses. But what happened was a lot of realtors read this book. And the realtors started taking action on the ideas I mentioned that I thought would work for real estate agents. and their businesses just blew up. I mean, that's where we started getting agents who were almost doubling their GCI, trying to implement, the ideas from this book. And so I took notice because just a large percentage of the people that were emailing me after they'd read this book were real estate agents. And so I started consulting with some of them, and they hired me to kind of, do some one-on-one more personal marketing work with them. And that's when their businesses ultimately doubled and tripled in some cases. And so I realized I was onto something. If we specifically apply the ideas of Main Street marketing to the real estate vertical, to getting buyer leads and getting seller leads and helping a realtor grow their business, it was just working really, 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 really well. So I decided to actually write a new book entirely. And that's how High Hanging Fruit came about. So High Hanging Fruit is a legit 200-page book written specifically for realtors. So it is written specifically for agents. And it's based on what I learned when I was doing consulting with agents and how we implemented these strategies for them. So it's not just theory. It's actually based on the consulting work I did with about half a dozen realtors who were able to double their businesses. Long story short, the reason they were able to double their businesses consistently is that this marketing approach that we took, we're basically doing the opposite of what everyone else is doing. Rather than encouraging them to make more cold calls or call more expired listings or call more FSBOs or do more open houses or put more signs out for your open houses, do a mega open house, right? Like rather than doing something that everyone else was doing, we just decided to do the opposite of what most agents do. So we targeted high-hanging fruit leads versus low-hanging fruit. And that's ultimately what made all the difference. That's why pretty consistently we've been able to actually double people's GCI. And so I use the word consistently because there's a lot of marketing companies out there that'll claim that, they added 100K to someone's business or that they doubled someone's GCI or, things like that. But you have to look at what's the average client results, not what's the very best outlier, best case scenario, right? We are actually pretty consistently able to double someone's GCI if they take action on this. And so that's what I realized was different about the system. That's why people are getting such good results, is the consistency of it if they actually took action on it. So when I do a consulting day, usually the first two things I get clear on if I'm with a brokerage or with a team is that there really are honestly only two variables that move your business forward. It's where do you invest your time and where do you invest your money, right? It's really just as simple as those two. Now, I'm gonna tell you how to do the opposite of what most agents do. Most agents, if you imagine like the typical sales cycle or the sales funnel, right? It's widest at the top, it gets narrow as it goes towards the bottom. It's basically like an upside down triangle, right? The typical sales funnel. Most agents, they're taught from the very first week they get licensed and they get trained in by their broker, right? They're taught to invest their time generating leads at the top of the funnel, and then they invest their money buying leads at the bottom of the funnel. So whether they have $2,000 a month to spend on advertising, whether they have $200 a month to spend on advertising, most agents will spend their money at the bottom of the funnel buying low-hanging fruit leads, and they'll invest their time trying to generate opportunities at the top of the funnel. So what that means is like, again, let's say you have a marketing budget of $500, right, a month. Probably you're going to spend that $500 a month just buying leads from Zillow, right? Because that to you is the lowest hanging fruit. That's what, in theory, right, gets you the quickest bang for your buck is just buying leads. The problem with buying leads is that look at the language you're using. What's the verb? Buying. I'm buying leads, right? If a lead is at the point in their personal sales cycle and their buyer's journey where they're actually ready to buy a house, they're actually ready to list their home, and they've already opted in at websites like Zillow, Realtor.com, or whatever, it's a commodity at that point. It's just a name, an email, and a phone number, right? So the fact that we're using the verb buying leads as if leads are just a commodity that's being bought and sold, that's by definition low-hanging fruit. That's where all the competition is. Every agent wants those leads because in theory, you'd rather have someone who's ready to go this week than someone who's ready to go in 3 months, right? The problem is theory doesn't translate to the real world. In theory, that's better, but in the real world, that's where all the competition is, right? So it's actually much harder to convert those leads. And so most agents are spending their money at the bottom of the funnel and then at the top of the funnel to try to generate leads, at the top of the funnel. They're investing their time. Because when you're just getting started as an agent, time is what you have a surplus of, right? You may not have a ton of money, but you certainly have time. So most agents will, start cold calling expired listings. They'll start cold calling FSBOs. They'll time block 2 hours a day to just hit the phone and call all the recently expired listings. Maybe they get the Mojo dialer and they're calling hundreds of people a day, right? And they time block several hours every morning just to make their cold calls, right? Sometimes they're not calling expired listings. Maybe they're calling their sphere of influence, just asking for referrals. Hey, Bob, do you know anyone who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? And you just make as many calls a day because it's the law of large numbers. Eventually, if you make enough cold calls, you will get some appointments set. I mean, that's a fact, right? So it does work, right? It's just very time consuming, but it does work, just making a ton of calls. But there's also a lot of agents who don't like making cold calls, and so they still invest their time though to generate leads. These are the agents that they're willing to do open houses every weekend. They're willing to volunteer at events in the community just to get their name out there, be visible and public in the community. They're willing to volunteer at their church, at their kids' school, right? They network a lot, right? They go to all the Chamber of Commerce meetings, or they're a member of a BNI group, and they're constantly trying to network to get their brand out there, get their name out there, right? Both of those things, networking and cold calling, are basically investing your time to generate leads. So this is what pretty much all agents do. They invest their time trying to generate leads, but they invest their money at the bottom of the funnel trying to buy low-hanging fruit leads. I want you to do the opposite. So what high-hanging fruit is all about is we're going to flip the funnel, okay? We're going to invest our money at the top of the funnel generating warm leads. So we're going to build a marketing system that generates warm leads for us so that we only have to invest our time following up with warm leads that our marketing system has already warmed up for us, right? So we're going to flip the funnel. We're going to do the opposite of what most agents do. We're going to build a marketing system, and I'll show you the specific Facebook ads that I recommend running to do this, right? So I'm not just going to leave you hanging there and tell you what to do, but not actually show you how to do it. I will get to that. I'll show you the specific Facebook ads to run, but we're going to build a marketing system that generates leads for us at the top of the funnel. So that's where we're going to invest our money, right? Is generating leads so that we only have to spend our time following up with warm leads, right? This is a game changer because I'll show you here that a lot of the agents we work with are generating like 200 leads a month. That's actually about the average. If an agent hires Platform and they work with Platform to have us manage their lead gen and their marketing campaigns for them, the average realtor that works with us gets about 200 leads a month. But that creates a problem for most realtors because they're not set up to be able to handle that amount of leads, especially if they're already doing a decent business. They just don't have the time in the day to follow up with that many new leads coming in. So we have to optimize how you're structuring your day first. And the problem is a lot of agents right now are time blocking 90 minutes or they're time blocking 2 hours a day to make cold calls just to try to drum up business, right? I'm telling you, if you do this right, if your marketing system is doing most of the work for you, you can shave that time down to like half hour. So as long as you're carving out half hour a day, you can get more done following up and converting leads if during that half hour, you're only following up with actual warm leads who clicked on your ads and want to hear from you. Like they're actually waiting for you to follow up with them because they requested more information about something, right? So if you're spending that half hour following up with warm leads that your system already warmed up for you, you can grow your business much faster than someone who's just cold calling total strangers for 2 hours in a row. So it's just a classic example of work smarter, not harder, right? Or quality over quantity. And so we want to flip that funnel. If we build the marketing system, then we can actually scale our business without working 80 hours a week, right? And so that's kind of the time argument of if you want to grow your business, it's really only worth doing if you can work a reasonable amount of hours every week, maybe 40 to 50 hours a week. I mean, because to be totally honest, I don't know how realistic it is that a top producing realtor would only work 40 hours a week, because that would just mean a strict 8-hour day, 5 days a week that you never even check your phone or you don't work on Saturdays and Sundays. I'd love to tell you that's possible, but I've really never seen a top producing agent, making $250,000 a year or making $400,000 a year. I don't really see them only working 40 hours a week. Usually it's going to be more like 50, right? And that's what the average American works anyways. And so I've just never really understood why people think 40 hours a week is full time. I don't know any successful people who only work 40 hours a week. So let's just assume it's 50, right? I'm not saying you have to work 80 hours a week. but let's just say you're working like 50 hours a week, right? I want you to be able to grow your business and hopefully double your GCI while still working 50 hours a week. And so we can't just add hours to early mornings or late at night where you're, working more to generate more business. We want to actually get more results out of the time that you're working. So that's the time argument, right? But let's also talk about money, because high hanging fruit is something that if you structure these ads right and you do it the right way, one of the best parts of this is that it works even if you're on a limited budget. Because most big marketing systems, right, like a Boomtown or Commissions Inc. or YLopo, Curator, there's all these systems out there to hire them and get their website and their CRM and have them running some Google ads for you, right? It's going to cost like $2,000 a month when everything is factored in, right? And a lot of agents out there just don't even come close to having that amount of money, nor do they have the funds set aside to where they can sign up for a 6-month contract of it, right? And they're locked in at spending that much money for 6 months in a row. Because what happens if it doesn't work, right? And with Zillow, we're seeing so much price inflation, basically, in the last couple of years that, like, if you're going to Zillow with a $300 a month budget, that's just really not going to do anything, right? Pretty much everyone I know who's getting any sort of positive return from Zillow, they're usually spending $1,000 a month on Zillow or $2,000 a month on Zillow or more, right? And so agents that don't have a huge budget are kind of being priced out of the market of generating leads because everything's just so damn expensive now, right? So there's another reason I love this high-hanging fruit idea, is that it works especially if you're on a limited budget, because I'll show you how to get leads using some of these high-hanging fruit Facebook ads that are coming in for seriously like $3 a piece. So that means if you spend $100 on an ad, every $100 you spend will bring in consistently 30 leads or more. So you can see how I have a bunch of agents and videos and case studies and whatnot, that I've shown you. You can see how it's actually really, it's really not that far-fetched that you could double your GCI if every $100 you spent on marketing actually produced 30 leads, right? And these aren't leads like Zillow where you're calling them, but also they're getting phone calls from 10 other agents that Zillow sold their contact information to. These are leads that you're the only realtor they're talking to. So your conversion rate on these leads is going to be much higher. So this is a really compelling opportunity, especially if you're one of those agents who you're ambitious, you want to grow your business, but you just don't have $2,000 a month or $3,000 a month, to spend on your marketing plan right now. So I wanted to show you this text because they converted some leads from platform, and that's cool. But the real reason this text is cool to me, this screenshot of this text here, is that this kid is 19 years old. He's a realtor in Wisconsin, 19 years old. So he basically just graduated high school, right? And so if he can implement this high-hanging fruit idea and take action on his business when he's basically a college-age kid, he's 19 years old. His name's Keaton. He's in Wisconsin. If he can do it, you can too, right? And so when I've done these consulting days, often what I see is agents hit a plateau right around 30 transactions a year. And I'll just cut right to the chase. What happens when you get to about 30 closings a year is you run out of time. So I kind of hinted at that before, but here's what specifically happens. Agents run out of time. Their first year, maybe they did 10 closings. Their second year, they did 20, and they're all excited about that growth. Their third year, they did 27, or they did 32 or 33, or something like that. It's not literally 30 transactions on the dot, but around 30 closings a year. What happens is most agents simply run out of time, right? Like they actually don't have extra time in the day to follow up with more leads, or they don't have extra time in the day to drive more people around and go on more showings or go on more listing appointments or negotiate more offers or attend the home inspection. I mean, all the stuff that an agent does on a day-to-day basis, right? So it's not that agents are hitting a plateau at about 30 deals a year, because they're getting lazy or because they're running out of marketing dollars or for any other reason but time. What happens is you hit about 30 transactions a year and you literally run out of hours in the day to do more, right? So it doesn't even matter how ambitious you are. You don't get 25 hours a day just because you're ambitious. You get 24, right? And so if you want to double your business, let's say you hit like 34 transactions last year. So if we approximately double 34 transactions. It's about 70 transactions a year, right? So let's say you're really ambitious. You want to double your business from doing 34 to 70 deals a year, right? I don't even have to ask you. I already know if you did 34 transactions last year, you're not a part-time agent. You're probably already working 40, 50 hours a week, right? And so it's not as simple as like, oh, I'll just work harder, right? Because like, what are you going to do? Work 100 hours a week to get to, to get to 70 transactions a year? That's just impossible. And even if it was possible, you don't want to live your life working 100 hours a week. It's not worth it, right? So the trick is, how do we bust through that plateau without just adding extra hours to the day? Because we want to have a life too. So this is what I've observed with all the agents that have hired me for consulting, is what got them to about 30, 35 closings a year was straight up hustle. It was hard work. It was putting in the time. It was, their willingness to sit opens on weekends. It was their willingness to call and follow up with leads like religiously, constantly asking friends and family for referrals, making sure they always followed up with sign calls, answering their phones on nights and weekends. Basically they just put in the time. They hustled, right? They always hustled. So hustle and sales skill can get you to about 30 transactions a year. But to get you beyond that point, you can't just work harder. It's not about hustle. It's actually about marketing, right? Specifically lead generation, because hustle and sales and just working hard, right, is actually the exact thing that will prevent you from getting to the next level in your business. And it's a huge risk that most agents have, because they think that, hey, this is what got me here, so I just need to double down on this, right? But once you hit about 30 transactions a year, you're running out of time. Hustle doesn't solve the problem. Hustle actually makes it worse, because it covers up the symptoms of what's going on, right? You actually have to build a marketing system so that the number of hours you work or how hard you're working is completely severed from how many leads you have coming in. If your time is linked with how many leads that you have coming in, your time will always be the constraint on the growth of your business. So let me say that again. If you're just cold calling, or you're time blocking, a couple hours every morning to call expireds, call FSBOs, call your friends and family in your sphere and ask for referrals, right? If that's the way that you're generating leads, your business's growth will always be constrained by your time, right? And so we want to build a marketing system that generates leads independent of your time, because if you can do that, you can actually free up more of your time and ultimately convert more leads. That's what high hanging fruit is all about. Here's an example of an agent who did that and actually added an extra 40 transactions a year to his business just from using this high hanging fruit marketing idea. So he was already pretty successful, right? So he added an additional 40 closings a year to his business on top of the business he already had. So I would say, yes, he busted through that plateau.
First introduced the whole online lead platform system, I was skeptical. Now, a year later, we're closing 40 deals in 2016. This is all due to the online marketing platform. For example, we have our buyers meet us in this building, which gives us instant credibility. So when you meet somebody on the internet, you never know if they're real or not. So when you come to a building like this, people come in here, they want to work with you, they realize you're real, and then you sign them up as a client. Come with me to the office. For example, we are closing 11 deals in June alone. Totally.
So this is cool, because he's actually showing you the actual whiteboard where all of his deals are lined up, and that's the high hanging fruit pipeline, right? Keep in mind, it added over 40 closings to his business.
Over $4.5 million. That is an incredible number, and about half of that came directly from the platform system. Now over here is the stuff you can't fake. This is our pipeline. This is ready buyers who've been pre-approved. They want to go searching, they want to go shopping, and they want to buy a home. 50% of these guys are all coming from our platform system, and it's proven the high-hanging fruit mentality, the system, the platform leads, it really does work, and it's real.
So again, it's about breaking through that plateau, right? I have a couple slides on here that are dedicated to this, honestly, guys, because I just think it's so important. I've seen so many agents stuck around 30 transactions a year, and they just honestly don't realize what's going on. They don't know, hey, why am I stuck here? Why can't I get to 40, or why can't I get to 50 closings a year? Why can't I scale my business, right? It's because subconsciously they don't realize it, but they have no more hours in the day, right? So if you want to get to that next level, you have to build a marketing system so that the number of leads you have coming in is completely independent of your time, right? Completely independent of your time. So let's talk about what I call the Google industrial complex and why leads are so much more expensive now in 2018 than they were just a couple years ago, right? So if you think back, let's say 5 years, think back to around the year like 2014, let's say, right? If you were buying Zillow leads back in 2014, you definitely know that they were cheaper back then, right? If you were spending the same amount of money, let's say like $1,000 a month, right? So that's been a constant. You were spending $1,000 a month back then, and you're still spending the same $1,000 a month today, right? I guarantee you were getting more leads back in 2014 on Zillow for $1,000 a month than you are today, right? And not just a couple more, but a lot more leads, right? So basically for the same amount of money today, people are getting way fewer leads. And I'm only talking 5 years ago, right? So we can't just chalk that up to inflation, right? Because in a technical sense, has there been inflation in the economy? Like, yes, there's been a little bit, but there's always a natural level of inflation when the Fed is printing money every year, right? That's going to happen, right? So we can't just explain it away with inflation. Inflation is really only an explanation if we're looking at the prices of goods over like a 30-year period or a 50-year period, right? I'm only talking 5 years ago, right? So we can't just chalk that up to inflation. So why are leads so much more expensive now? If you look at the actual home ownership rate in America, it's pretty much stayed the same the last 5 years. There's not any more or less people buying homes today in June of 2018 than there were 5 years ago, right? So like fundamentally, per capita, America's home ownership rate really hasn't changed in the last 5 years. So it's not that there's, you know, a surge in home buyers. Like the same number of people approximately are going online and searching for homes this year as they were 5 years ago. So why are leads so much more expensive now? Like, what's going on? Well, in the real estate industry, there's kind of been a great awakening amongst real estate agents that they're finally waking up and realizing that all of the offline kind of print marketing that agents have been doing for decades, it just really isn't working anymore, right? So just in the last couple years, agents have finally started to realize that like, oh, wait, like I'm spending $500 a month on a newspaper ad and I have no idea if it's actually generating me any business. You know, $500 is a lot to spend every month if you actually have just no clue if it's working, right? Or there's agents that are saying, hey, I've been spending, you know, $1,200 a month on billboards for the last several years, and I really have no idea if that's brought me any business. It might, you know, it kind of gets my name out there, you know, like whatever that means, but they have no way of actually tracking it to actual leads coming in. Or they've been spending a ton of money on direct mail farming, you know, farming their favorite subdivisions or areas. And again, you know, maybe some people have mentioned that they've, you know, seen their postcards or things like that, but they can't really track it to real business. And so all these agents that have been spending thousands of dollars a month on offline ads are starting to wake up and realize that pretty much everyone starts their new home search online today. I mean, it's like 99%. That's the most recent stat I've seen. Is that pretty much? I mean, so pretty much everyone is starting their search online, whether they're looking at buying or selling a house. You know, they start that process doing the research online. So online is where you should be spending your money, right? That's what agents have started realizing in the last couple of years. And so what's happened is there's been a flood of new advertising dollars that has gone into Google in just the last couple of years, right? So even though the home buyer rate has basically stayed the same, like the same number of people are searching for homes online as they were 5 years ago, right? A flood of new advertising dollars has gone online from real estate agents that are essentially just shifting their budgets from offline media like newspapers, direct mail, things like that, and they're putting that money online, right? So the supply and demand dynamic has changed. That's what's going on. If you think back to like junior high economics class, like the first day of microecon, when your teacher talked about supply and demand, right? If the supply of something stays the same, because keep in mind, the supply of home buyers has stayed the same, right? The same number of people are searching online for homes today as they were 5 years ago. If the supply stays the same, but demand goes way up, you know, because there's way more realtors bidding up the cost per click on Google. There's way more demand from realtors who want those online leads, right? What happens? If the supply stays the same and the demand goes up, what happens? The price increases, right? It's basic like junior high supply and demand economics, right? Like the first day of class, you learn that. When supply stays the same, demand goes up, prices increase. And so that's what's happened in the last couple of years is all these agents are flooding, online media like Google pay-per-click trying to get leads, that the price of leads has gone way, way up. And, if you're buying leads from Zillow, that's why it's way more expensive, because where does Zillow get all of its web traffic? From Google, right? Zillow isn't a monopoly in the sense that they own all the home buyers. They're just outspending everyone pretty much to get clicks from Google, right? And so Zillow is sourcing almost all of its traffic from Google searches, right? And so if Google fundamentally gets more expensive, Zillow becomes more expensive because they just pass on that cost per click to you. Like they're not going to eat that cost. They're $1 billion company, right? It would be terrible for their shareholders if they absorb all that because they probably lose money, right? So they just pass on the cost to you. So that's why leads have gotten so much more expensive in the last couple of years. If you're buying leads from Zillow, is there's just been a tectonic shift in the supply and demand dynamic going on in the online lead gen industry for realtors, right? I know there's a bunch of people watching right now that are probably thinking, yeah, but I don't use Zillow ads, right? Like I've never given money to Zillow, right? I don't want to support them. They're trying to put us out of business. I use Curator, or I use Commissions Inc., or I use Boomtown, or I use YLocal, or I use Real Geeks, or all these real estate marketing companies that are essentially the same thing, right? You're like, I don't use Zillow, I use Boomtown, right? Well, have you ever stopped and asked yourself, where does Boomtown get the leads? Right? If you think you're so like self-righteous that you're using some company besides Zillow, right? Where do you think they get the leads? They get them from Google too. And so everyone's fishing from the same pond, right? The entire business model of all those companies I named, Commissions Inc., Boomtown, Zillow, all of them, right? Their entire business model is that they're just a middleman for Google leads, right? They get the lead from Google, they mark it up, and they sell that lead to you at a higher price so that they can make a profit, right? The business model of all these companies is they're just a middleman for Google, right? And I don't mean that that's immoral in any way. Like obviously they have to make a profit. That's how capitalism works. I applaud that. That's super cool, right? There's nothing morally wrong with that, right? I'm just pointing that out so that you realize that whether you're getting your leads straight from Google or from Zillow or from Boomtown or Sync or Real Geeks or any of these companies, right? They're all just a middleman for leads from Google, right? And so ultimately they're all fishing from the same pond. And so if the clicks on Google get more expensive because of that shift in supply and demand, that affects everyone downstream because you're all fishing from the same pond. So that's why, whether I'm talking about Zillow or Sync or Boomtown or whatever, leads have straight up gotten more expensive in the last 5 years, right? So what I propose is we cut out the middleman. Right, that's what high-hanging fruit is all about. Rather than buying leads at the bottom of the funnel, from Boomtown or from having an ad spend budget with Commissions Inc. or, obviously from Realtor.com or from Zillow, right? What if we stop using the Google industrial complex, as I kind of jokingly call it? What if we stop using the whole Google ecosystem and generate our own leads instead? What if we cut out the middleman? What if rather than Google, we use Facebook, right? Facebook is the wild, wild west of online advertising. Facebook is where Google was honestly like 7 years ago, right? It was still massively popular. There was billions of people using it, but it wasn't super expensive yet, right? Facebook is the wild, wild west of the internet in 2018. And so I recommend you use Facebook for your ads because the cost per click and therefore the cost per lead is so much cheaper on Facebook, right? Facebook ads, we're pretty consistently seeing clients get leads for $3 a piece, $4 a piece. Sometimes they even get leads for $2 a piece, right? So let's just pick a number in the middle, like $3 a piece. Again, that means that every $100 you spend on an ad, you're getting 30 leads or more, right? So if you could just afford to spend, $200 a month on ads, you should be able to bring in 60 plus leads every single month, right? So again, Facebook is the wild, wild west of online advertising. So that's where I really recommend that you allocate your budget because you can just generate so many more leads for less money, right? So rather than giving your money to these huge companies, like Homes.com, Realtor.com, Zillow, Boomtown, Commissions Inc., Real Geeks, I could rattle off probably 10 more, right? that are essentially just a middleman for Google. What if you cut out the middleman, right? What if you launch your own ads? So let's talk about some of the specific Facebook ads that I know are working right now for realtors around the country. I mentioned earlier in this webinar that, you know, I'm the author of the book High Hanging Fruit, and yes, everyone is going to get a free copy of that. I know we've had some people ask, so yes, everyone is going to get a free copy of that. But I'm also the CEO of Platform Marketing. That's why you see the platform logo in the bottom right corner of all these slides here, right? And so the ads I'm going to show you here are actually ads that we're running right now for realtors all across the country. So these aren't just theory. It's not just ads that I think will work. These are ads that I already know they're working because we're spending tens of thousands of dollars a month on these ads right now, right? And by the way, at the end of this webinar, in addition to giving you a free copy of the book, I have one more bonus that we're going to give away, actually a trial month of Platform Marketing. So if this sounds interesting to you, and you want us just to set up all these ads for you so you don't have to learn how to do it, we're actually going to offer you a trial month of Platform Marketing at the end of the webinar after I show you how to get a free copy of the book. So stay tuned for that. So back to the Facebook ads, right? If you want to create Facebook ads that actually work to generate real leads, we have to get very philosophically clear on what we're attempting to do, right? We have to actually offer real value. I know this sounds kind of like elementary, but this is the problem with most Facebook ads I see from realtors when they throw up their hands and they're like, oh, Facebook doesn't work, or I tried Facebook ads, they don't work. They're not offering any value, right? Most ads are just like showing a smiling face of the realtor and saying, hey, when you're ready to list your home, call me, right? Or, hey, I'm the #1 realtor and such, or hey, I've been in the business for 18 years, you know, all the stuff that no one cares about, right? Because you're just talking about you, right? You have to ask yourself the question, what's in it for them? Why should someone click on my ad and opt in and give me their name, their email, their phone number, right? Like, why would they do that? I have to actually offer something of value, right? Because the typical ad that I see from most realtors just looks like a freaking business card, right? It has their smiling face. It has their broker's logo really big, you know, right? Just because of compliance reasons, you have to have your broker's logo and everything. If it's a lender, it usually has their license number on there. And it basically just has some stupid saying like, hey, call me when you're ready to sell your house, or, you know, some tagline, you know, often it rhymes. It's really cheesy, right? And so that's what most ads are. Really, it's just bragging about you. It doesn't actually provide any value to the person seeing the ad. So ask yourself, why are you on this webinar right now? Like, why are you listening to me right now on this webinar? It's because we offered you a free copy of the book. That was the offer of value to convince you to join us on this morning's webinar. Like, guys, I'm not stupid. I know that you didn't want to invest an hour of your time just because, right? The real reason you're on the webinar this morning is because we offered real value. We offered you a free copy of the book. And so you made a split second, probably subconscious decision that like, oh, well, I don't really want to give these people, you know, my name, my email, my phone number. But if I get a free copy of the book, I suppose that's a fair trade, right? I don't really want to give it to them, but I suppose I do want the free book, so that's a fair trade. And that's the reason you're on the webinar this morning, listening to me talk about this right now, right? And that's what lead generation has to be. It has to be a trade, right? So if you're taking notes, please write this down. Lead generation is as simple as offering something of value in exchange for someone's contact information. So lead generation is as simple as offering something of value in exchange for someone's contact information. If you're not generating a lot of leads from your ads, if you're saying that Facebook ads aren't working, it's not because there's some super secret Facebook targeting you don't know about. It's not because there's super ninja, you know, advanced tactics with Facebook ads that no one told you about, right? It's honestly just because you're not offering enough value in your ads. That's what it comes down to, right? Any Facebook ad should cause a person who sees it, you know, it pops up in their newsfeed. It should cause them to actually think like, well, do I want that? Would I be willing to give my contact information for that? And if the answer is yes, they will. It's that simple. Again, that's why you're on this webinar. We gave you a free copy of the book, right? It's like if you're trading baseball cards, right? You would never trade a Babe Ruth rookie card for some random player that no one's ever heard of, right? If you're going to make the trade, it has to be a fair trade. It's the same thing with your contact information. Why should someone give you their name, their email, their phone number when they know that you're probably going to call and follow up with them, right? Why should they just give out that information like willy-nilly unless they're getting something really really valuable in return, right? It has to be a fair trade. So the question is then, what are you going to offer in your ads that's so valuable that someone would happily, right, happily give you their name, their email, their phone number, right? That's how we create the perfect Facebook ad. Unfortunately, what most people are doing right now, how pretty much 99% of agents are generating leads online right now, is they get an IDX website, right? Like with Boomtown or Commissions Inc. or Real Geeks or Playster, right? There's all these companies that more or less sell the same thing, just a basic IDX website, right? And you drive someone there, and then once they're looking at a couple homes on the website, then boom, they get a pop-up and it says, hey, to continue viewing homes, register an account here, enter your name, email, and your phone number, right? Or sometimes I've seen it where rather than, after the 4th home they look at, there's actually just a timer that's written into the code of the website. And once it detects that someone's been on the website for more than 30 seconds, then boom, they get a pop-up and it asks them to give their name, email, and their phone number to create an account, right? So they can keep searching for homes. This way of generating leads isn't really a fair trade. It's more of a hostage situation. It's a hostage crisis where they're like, hey, give me all your contact information or else, right? Or else you can't keep looking at homes. They're not really offering anything of value. They're just saying, hey, like you were looking at homes, now we're going to force you to give up all your contact information. Well, that's a terrible way of generating leads. The average IDX website that generates leads that way only converts 2 to maybe 3% of those clicks into actual traffic or into actual leads, right? So that means that 97% of the visitors to your website, if that's how your website is set up, which is pretty much how all those websites are set up, 97% of your traffic is being wasted because 97% of people, when they see that pop-up, they don't sign up and then they just leave. And then you never can follow up with them again because you didn't get their contact information, right? Because the problem is in 2018, consumers aren't stupid. They know they can get all that information for free on Zillow or for free on Realtor.com. Like they won't be forced to create an account to look at homes on those websites. And so naturally, they just leave. And then the worst part of all this is that the leads you do get often have fake contact information, right? It's like a fake phone number, a fake name, a fake email address, right? And so it's really hard to follow up when they're putting fake contact information. It's almost like an epidemic now when I talk to realtors about the number of leads they're getting that are just fake, right? Like fake contact info. So again, we have to go back to this original question. How do we offer real value in our ads so that people are giving us their real contact information because they actually genuinely want what we're offering, right? Well, here's the ad that I've seen work consistently time and time again as a Facebook ad that gets real leads, and not just buyer leads, actual seller leads too. So here's an ad that works time and time again to generate real leads with full contact information for about $3 a piece. I call it the Pool Homes Report. And so what the Pool Homes Report is, it's a Facebook ad that you run where you're offering a free list of all the homes for sale in your market that have a pool, right? So let's say that you're in let's say you're in Nashville, Tennessee, right? You would create a Facebook ad, and then the actual ad is just a picture of a home in Nashville that has a pool, right? Or if your brokerage doesn't have any listings that have a pool, just use a stock photo that looks like a home that would be in Nashville that has a pool, right? And the ad just says, attention Nashville. I've created a free report of all the homes currently for sale that have a pool. Click here to view the homes. And then you buy a domain that's like www.nashvillepoolhomesreport.com. All right. So again, the ad is attention Nashville. I've created a free report of all the homes currently for sale that have a pool. Click here to view the homes. And then www.nashvillepoolhomesreport.com. Right. And then they click that, and it takes them to a landing page where then we capture their contact information. And people actually are willing to give their contact information on this landing page because it's a custom report that they actually want to get. It's curated just for them. It's just the homes of pools, right? And so this landing page, just to give you an idea of the contrast between this high-hanging fruit strategy and the typical IDX strategy, is that the typical IDX website I mentioned converts at like 2 or 3%. This strategy usually converts more like 20, 25. I've even seen 30% landing page conversion. So it is literally 10 times higher conversion rate on the landing page if you offer a custom list, like, a list of homes that have a pool, right? And so this is not just a way to get buyer leads. So here's kind of the hidden psychology, I guess, that makes this ad work so well. What we know as realtors is that anyone opting in for a free list of homes with a pool they're not a first-time home buyer, right? Like 99% of the time, that is not a first-time home buyer. It's probably an existing homeowner, right, who's a move-up buyer, right? They're going to sell their existing home. They're going to move up into a bigger, nicer home with a pool, right? So pretty much all the leads that come in, again, they're not first-time home buyers. They're also seller leads because they're going to need you to list their current house so that they can be a move-up buyer and buy a bigger, nicer home with a pool. And so even though from the outside looking in, like from the public's perspective, it kind of looks like a buyer ad where it's an agent trying to get buyer leads, right? It's actually kind of a stealth way to generate listing leads because we know that so many of those people are move-up buyers. Therefore, you're going to get a buy side and a sell side. And so on the Facebook targeting of this ad, we usually target homeowners over the age of 30, or what we do sometimes is we'll target married people over the age of 30, or sometimes I've experimented with people that have a college degree over the age of 30. So really any of those three, targeting homeowners with Facebook ads, targeting people with college degrees, or targeting married people over the age of 30, they get pretty similar results because we're just trying to make sure that if we're going to spend money on this ad, it's actually showing to people that are demographically likely to be homeowners, right? Because this is the way that we're getting both, again, buyer leads and seller leads. And so this pool homes report ad just kicks butt. It's one of my favorite ads. We've spent, actually literally hundreds of thousands of dollars on this ad, and it's never not worked. Okay, so I love this ad. But maybe like you're watching this webinar right now and you're like, hey, there's not a lot of pool homes in my area. Maybe you're in like rural Montana, right? Or you're in like northern Minnesota or somewhere in like the Northeast where there's just not a lot of like pool homes because you're not in a warm tropical climate, right? An ad that'll work really, really well for you is what I call the acreage homes report, right? So rather than offering a free report of homes for sale that have a pool, we offer a free report of homes for sale that have at least 1 acre of land, right? So we call it the acreage homes report. So let's say you're in like Fargo, North Dakota, right? Not a ton of homes with pools in Fargo, right? And so you could do the acreage homes report ad where you're a Facebook ad. Again, it's targeting people over the age of 30 that are homeowners. It would say, attention Fargo, I've created a custom list of homes for sale here in Fargo that have acreage. To view the homes, go to www.fargoacreagehomesreport.com, right? And then you build that landing page, and then everyone who opts in, you just send them, an MLS link of all the homes for sale in the area that have at least 1 acre of land, right? And obviously, it's going to be different in every market. What constitutes acreage in Fargo might be totally different than what constitutes acreage on Long Island, right? In some areas, if a property has more than like a third of an acre, it's considered to have acreage. Excuse me, I just had to take a sip of water there. In other areas of the country, a house isn't really considered to have acreage unless it has 1 acre or more, right? So that's obviously totally up to you. But we target that ad the same way. It uses the same psychology as the pool homes report. We're just doing an acreage homes report. And the same principle is true too, that pretty much all the leads who opt into this, they're not just buyer leads, because no one's a first-time home buyer where they go out and buy a nice house that has 3 acres of land, right? Almost every single time it's a move-up buyer, right? Where they already own a house, but they're a move-up buyer. And so when that lead comes in, like requesting the acreage homes report or requesting the pool homes report, they're going to just mention to you almost in passing, like, oh, by the way, I have a house I would need to sell before I move. Which is like the sweetest words a realtor can ever hear, right? That you're getting a listing lead and a buyer lead out of it. So these are two of my favorite Facebook ads, again, that we're running right now. We've spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on these ads. We already know that they work because they offer real value, right? We're out of time here, so I can't tell you a ton more ads. What I have done is I've created a PDF that will give you 5 more specific ads if you want to do a little bit more research on how to generate leads using this high-hanging fruit philosophy. So you can download that for free. I'm not charging you for it, totally free. Just go to platformmarketingpdf.com and you can download that report of 5 more specific Facebook ads that have proven to work. And so again, grab that at www.platformmarketingpdf.com. Now, some of you may have realized now that, hey, why are they asking for my contact information there at platformmarketingpdf.com? Like, we already have your contact information, right? Like, if you're on this webinar, I already have your name, email, and phone number, so I don't really need to ask for it again. The real reason I have this slide on here, platformmarketingpdf.com, the real reason I have the slide on here, is I just wanted to be really clear with you that it's easy to generate leads if you actually give people something that's worth opting in for. Because more than likely, I mean, my phone's pinging. I've already seen a bunch of people that have signed up for that just in the last minute, right? That people have gone to get that PDF, right? If you offer something of value, people are happy. They're happy to give you their contact information if they think it's a fair trade. Like when you went there, you're like, well, you know, I don't really want to give my name and email, but I do want to see those 5 ads. I suppose that's a fair trade. It's a fair exchange. I will give you my contact information in exchange to see those 5 additional Facebook ads, right? So there's not a shortage of people out there in the world. There's not a shortage of buyer leads or of seller leads that, you know, are willing to give their contact information. Because I've seen a bunch of people say that, like, well, people are just burned out. They hate giving their contact information on Facebook ads. They hate going to squeeze pages, and they hate having to enter their name and email to get everything, right? They just want to look at the information for free. Like, that is totally not true, right? There's not a shortage out there of people buying homes or selling homes. There's not a shortage of people that are willing to give you their contact information, right? That are willing to click on a Facebook ad and give you their contact information. What there is a shortage of is realtors that are willing to put the creativity into creating something that's worth signing up for, right? So my challenge to you is actually build ads that offer something so valuable. Like, you know, for this webinar, we gave you a free copy of the book, right? We gave you a free copy of the book. That was so valuable that you were willing to trade your contact information and show up live on this webinar, right? So if you offer something that's worth signing up for, you'll never have a problem generating leads. And so I'm going to skip ahead, guys, to the end of this webinar because I do want to get to the point where I give you a free copy of the book, right? But the final points I want to make here is that with high-hanging fruit, you can actually focus on building relationships with your leads instead of hard selling, because if you get to them early in the sales cycle, like we've been talking about, there's no competition for those leads, right? You're the only realtor that they're talking to, because typically people don't want to call a realtor or meet with a realtor until there's basically less than a month before they're ready to actually start house hunting and buy a house, right? They don't want to start that process 3 or 4 months ahead of time. They'd rather not, you know, have you not contact them. So if we can generate that lead 3 or 4 months ahead of time, we're basically going to intercept all the leads in the market before other realtors start talking with them, right? Here's an example.
In 2016, my team's going to do over 40 lead gen deals. It's not just all about the leads. We're walking up to a listing I have where the owner saw me in a retargeting campaign.
By the way, this video was filmed in 2016, and he said he did over 40 closings that year. But that was his very first year as a residential realtor. So I think that's worth pointing out. It was his first year as a residential realtor, and he used the high-hanging fruit strategy and crushed it.
Through a market update video, and now I've got a $450,000 listing. This whole high-hanging fruit marketing campaign strategy, it really works.
So again, that's an actual listing he got using this strategy. Because if you actually generate relationships with people earlier in the sales cycle, you don't have to worry about other agents swooping in and convincing those leads to meet with them instead of you, right? If you can get to them earlier in the sales cycle, what it comes down to is you just have no competition for the leads, right? You have a monopoly on their mind because they're getting to know you for 2 or 3 months before they ever think to go on Zillow or Realtor.com, right? And it shows in the conversion rate. So that's why I have this final slide in here about quality over quantity, right? If you're doing this right and you build the ads the right way and you follow up the right way and you actually create relationships with these people, that's how you double your GCI, right? That's why we have all these stories of people that have doubled, in some cases even tripled. And I showed you Jose's video. He actually quadrupled his GCI, right? You can only do that if you're actually generating quality leads, because if you're just generating a bunch of crap leads, like a large quantity of crap leads, you'll never be able to grow your business because you'll spend all day following up with dud leads, right? And so the proof is in the numbers, right? We wouldn't have all these case studies and stories of realtors that had doubled their business unless they were actually getting quality leads, right? Because again, they would just run out of time. And so this is the final slide I have on here, guys. It's called fishing upstream. So I'm gonna talk about this for about 30 seconds, and then I'm going to show you a quick 10-second video. And then I'm going to give you a free copy of the book High Hanging Fruit. After I show you guys how to get a free copy of the book, then I'm going to share a little bit more about that trial month of platform that I mentioned, where if this webinar interested you, you can actually hire us to manage all your marketing for you and set up all these Facebook campaigns for you, so you don't have to learn how to do it yourself. We'll just set up everything for you and get you leads. And as an additional kind of bonus and thank you for joining us on the webinar, we're going to actually offer you a trial month of platform. So I'll get to that in about 2 minutes, right? So first, what's the final slide of this webinar is what I call fishing upstream. So to summarize what it means to generate leads the high-hanging fruit way. Let's say that you and some buddies are out a river fishing and you have your lines cast in, you're just kind of socializing, having a good time. It's not like a fishing competition or anything necessarily, but because you're all standing so close, kind of just talking, having a good time, you're all competing over the same area of fish. And so it's a zero-sum game. Any fish that you catch is now a fish that your buddy can't catch. Any fish that he catches is a fish that you can't catch, right? For you to win, someone else has to lose. It's a zero-sum game, right? If you're all fishing in the same area, right? What would happen, though, if you walked upstream just 100 feet, right? If you walked upstream just 100 feet, what would happen if you cast your line in there? Well, you would catch all the fish before they got downstream to where everyone else was fishing, right? You would intercept all the fish before they got to where everyone else was trying to catch them. That's what high-hanging fruit is all about. We're fishing upstream in your market. We're generating leads of people when they're typically 3 or 4 months out from actually being ready to list their house or from actually being ready to buy a house. And we're building a relationship with them then early in the sales cycle when they're kind of high-hanging fruit, when they're kind of in that like, oh, I'm just doing research phase, right? That's when we want to generate the lead, so that when the time comes and they're actually ready, to start searching for houses and making offers on houses, or they're actually it gets to the time where they're ready to have you over for a listing appointment, that they're not going to call other agents. They're not going to interview other agents because they've already gotten to know you and like you and trust you, right? They're just going to go with you, right? That's what high-hanging fruit is all about, is generating leads early in the sales cycle so we completely almost avoid competition from other realtors and then therefore boost our conversion rate of the leads. That's what high-hanging fruit is all about, right? Getting to them early in the sales cycle so that we can build a relationship with them and therefore improve our conversion rate we have on all the leads coming in. So this is a 10-second video, of someone who took action on this, and he's actually already generated more business here in 2018 than he did in all of 2017.
I have a pipeline in 2018 that is as large as everything that I closed in 2017. What else can you say?
Again, his name is Tom Douglas. He's a realtor in Birmingham, Alabama, and he's already done more business in 2018 than he did last year, thanks to this high-hanging fruit, thanks to this platform strategy. So thank you for joining us this morning, guys. Here's how you can get a free copy of the book. www.highhangingfruitbook.com. That's where you can get a free copy. Just to be clear, it's not www.highhangingfruit.com. The correct website to get the free book is www.highhangingfruitbook.com. All right, so that's where you can get a free copy of the book, highhangingfruitbook.com. Now I want to share a little bit more about what platform marketing is, and I actually want to offer you a trial month of platform if you're interested. So if this webinar was interesting to you and you're kind of intrigued by this idea of high-hanging fruit and how you could implement this in your market to generate leads and grow your business, right? Because it's not about leads, right? No one cares about leads. What we actually want are closings, right? So if you want to double your GCI, if you want to get more closings, and this sounds interesting to you, we're going to offer you a trial month of platform as an additional bonus. It's really just our way of saying thank you for joining us on the webinar this morning. This is a live webinar, right? It's not a recording. And so I take it seriously when someone signs up that they'd be willing to invest their time with us on a live webinar. So it's our way of saying thank you. We're going to offer you a trial month of a platform. So in that trial month, we will set up all your ads for you, right? We're going to build the Facebook campaigns. We can build, obviously, like, it depends on where you are in the country, what your market is like, but we could build the Acreage Homes Report ad for you, build the Pool Homes Report ad. And we have dozens of other ads that we've already split tested, and we know that they work, right? So we'll set up all your campaigns for you. We'll edit your videos for you too. That's another thing. with a platform is when you hire us, it's not like hiring Boomtown or Commissions Inc. or Curator or really any of these other companies, right? We're really more of a marketing agency. So rather than just giving you a website, we're actually going to become your personal marketing department. So even if you film videos and you send us the videos, we will edit all of your videos for you on top of managing all of your Facebook and lead gen. We'll also send emails out to your new leads. We'll send text messages out to those new leads. So really, we become your marketing department. That's really how we doubled and tripled people's GCI, right? So I've given you all these case studies in this webinar. It's not just about setting up some ads. It's about like the whole spectrum of setting up the ads, setting up the retargeting, sending out emails to the lead, sending out text messages, editing all your videos for you, all that stuff. We do basically everything for you. And if you want to take advantage of it on a trial month and have us set up everything for you, just go to platformmarketmap.com and we'll get you set up on a trial month of platform marketing. By the way, we only have, we don't have any contracts. And so I want to be really, really clear on that for those of you that are going right now to platformmarketmap.com, you don't have to worry about being locked into a contract or anything like that. We have 0 contracts. It's totally a month-to-month service. So if you sign up for that trial month, you're not locked into 6 months or 90 days or anything like that. It's just totally month-to-month. So here's an example of Brittany Oveby. She is a realtor in kind of the northern suburbs of Atlanta. Here's results that she's got working with Platform. Again, if you want results like her, go to platformmarketmap.com.
Hey, I just want to give a real quick update on how my platform business has been over the last 2 weeks. I've actually been able to get 4 of my platform clients under contract, ready to close within the next 30 to 45 days. In the pipeline, I have well over $2.5 million in volume that hopefully will be closing within the next 60 days. This is definitely the best decision that I've ever made in my real estate business. Thanks so much, Platform.
Again, if you want results like her, if you want to take advantage of that trial month, go to www.platformmarketmap.com. And by the way, at platformmarketmap.com, you don't have to fill out a form. We're not going to ask you for your credit card or anything like that. There's not a big application or anything you have to fill out. It'll literally take you 10 seconds because all we're doing is we're asking you where you live, like what area of the country are you in. So if you're in Asheville, North Carolina, say Asheville, North Carolina. Right? If you're in Phoenix, Arizona, say Phoenix, Arizona. If you're in Fargo, North Dakota, all you have to do is say, hey, I'm in Fargo, North Dakota. That's the only question we're asking you at platformmarketmap.com. You don't have to schedule a sales call. We're not asking you for your credit card or anything like that. That's it. So it'll literally take you 10 seconds. In less time that I've spent talking about this, you could have already signed up at platformmarketmap.com. So the reason we're asking you that question is here's the catch. So yes, we're offering you a trial month. We're really, really excited about it, but there is a catch. So here's the catch. We only work with 1 agent per market, right? So that's the fundamental thing that makes us different from every other marketing company out there that claims to work with realtors. Again, whether it's Curator, YLOPO, Boomtown, Commissions Inc., all those companies, right? We only work with 1 realtor per market. So in a market like Nashville, Tennessee, for example, we only work with 1 realtor there. Not just one neighborhood or one zip code. I'm saying the whole city of Nashville, we will only work with 1 realtor. So we're very, very exclusive. We're a much more exclusive company than Boomtown, Curator, Commissions Inc., where if you're using, let's say, Boomtown in Nashville, there might be 20 other agents in Nashville that are using the same exact marketing system and have the same website as you, right? We only work with 1. So that's another reason our clients are so successful is they're the only realtors in their markets that are running these high-hanging fruit style ads because we only grant 1 realtor per market, right? We're very, very exclusive that way. That means your marketing keeps working because no agents are copying you because you're the only agent that we'll work with. It's written right into the contract that you sign with us that you will be the only agent we work with. And I know I said contract, but we don't have contracts. It's totally month to month. So you're not locked into anything. But that's the only agreement we make is that we will only work with 1 realtor per city. Again, not per zip code, per city. So in Charleston, South Carolina, for example, like Charleston has many zip codes, many neighborhoods, many areas, but we only work with 1 realtor in Charleston. He gets the whole Charleston area, right? So that's how that works. And so Platform, to my knowledge, is actually the only marketing system out there for realtors that's that exclusive. And so that's the only question that we're going to ask you to get your trial month set up is, hey, where are you? And the reason we're asking that is we just want to make sure that we don't already have a client that we're working with in your area, right? So to find out if your market is available, just go to platformmarketmap.com. Now, the video I'm going to show you here is really, really important. So please watch this. This is a realtor in Austin, Texas. Her name's Danny Steese. And I asked her actually to film this video specifically for this webinar, right? I asked her to film a quick video and saying, hey, based on your experience with Platform, what would you tell someone if they were thinking about signing up for a trial month of Platform, right? Because Danny's actually been working with Platform now for over a year, and she's seen some incredible results. Her GCI has actually grown by almost $200,000. And so, yes, you heard me right. Her GCI has actually grown by almost $200,000 directly from Platform, right? So I asked her to film this video saying, hey, if you were on this webinar or someone was asking you, is this something that's worth giving a try? What would you tell them? So I'll let Danny answer that question in her own words. Again, she's grown her business by almost 200K GCI.
It's Danny. I am a realtor in Texas. If you're watching this, it's probably because you're interested in the Platform trial month. I have to tell you, you would be crazy not to take them up on that. When I started with Platform about 18 months ago, I didn't get a trial or any kind of discount, but it has hands down been the best investment I ever made in my business. When I first started with them, I was doing about probably 100,000 in income, so about a little over about 4 million in GCI, or excuse me, in production. Now, today, after being there a little over a year and a half, I have doubled, almost quadrupled that, and we'll do about 275 in GCI this year. I actually hired my first buyer's agent. I also have a part-time administrative person. So it's just been a really good decision, and to be able to try it out for a discounted price is awesome, and I wish I would have gotten to do that. But, you know, I still made an incredible return on that investment. So definitely would highly recommend it.
Again, if you want the same marketing system that Danny used to grow her business by that level, you know, almost 200,000 in GCI, just go to www.platformmarketmap.com to see if your market is still available or if we already have a realtor in your area. That's the only question we're going to ask you. Again, we're not asking for your credit card number or anything like that. You don't have to schedule a sales call. All we're doing there is just to, you know, the first step in getting set up on your trial month is we just want to see if your market is actually available, right? So go to www.platformmarketmap.com, right? If your market is available, we would love to get you set up on a trial month. So here's the results that people are actually getting in that very first trial month.
Hi, this is Crystal Boggs. This is my first week with Platform. I started Tuesday about 4 p.m. By Wednesday, I had 3 buyers pre-approved. By Sunday, 1 was in negotiations, 1 under contract, and 1 still viewing homes. It was an amazing week. Thank you, Platform.
I mean, it's hard for anything I say to be more powerful than what she just said. I mean, all the leads that she's getting in her very first trial month. Now, to be clear, the reason that people are getting such great results, even on the trial month, their very first month, is like, it's the time of year. I mean, we're in June right now. This is one of the busiest months of the year for buying and selling, right? And so obviously, if you start in October or November or December, you're probably not going to get that great of results, right? But you guys that are on this live webinar right now actually have a huge advantage over many realtors that have gotten started with Platform over the last couple of years, and that it's June right now, right? You're on this webinar in June. There's a ton of warm home buyers and sellers out there that are still wanting to buy or sell this summer, right? So if you get started on your trial month, it's probably not going to take you 3 months or 4 months to convert a lead, you know, like we're talking about with this high-hanging fruit sales idea, right? Or a sales cycle idea. You'll probably convert leads in your very first month just because of the time of year. It's in June right now, right? So if we get you set up on that trial month and we start generating leads, you'll get an immediate ROI. And so here's another example of an agent who actually added over $100,000 to his GCI not in a year, but actually in the very first 6 months that he worked with Platform. This is Rob. He's a real estate agent in Wilmington, North Carolina. Check out his story.
I just want to talk really quickly about my experience with Platform. Been with them for about 6 months. We've added about $100,000 to my GCI. Plenty of leads for next year, and really, really powerful stuff as far as what Tim's able to do. And if you're on the fence about the marketing, quit questioning it. It's well worth it. The team and Tim are great to work with, so I have no complaints, and we're looking for a better 2018, even though this year's already been a really, really productive half a year, really, with Platform and the whole company.
And so what I want to be clear on with Rob's story there is that it didn't even take him a full year to add 100,000. He was only with Platform for 6 months, and then he added everything up, and he was like, whoa, I've actually done an extra $100,000 in GCI that I can track just to Platform in less than 6 months. So if you want results like that, check out www.platformmarketmap.com, and we can get you set up on that trial month. Here's another example. This is Taylor. He added 100,000 to his business. He's only 25 years old.
Hey, Brandon, it's Taylor. I'm a real estate agent down here in Tampa. I'm 25 years old. And before I started joining with Platform, I made just under 40 grand. I'm around 35. Last year in 2017, I closed over 7 million, made over 150 grand. And next year, it's the $250,000 mark. I need to hit over 250. I definitely thank that to Platform.
Again, Taylor's only 25 years old. I'm gonna show you an example here. This is Danny Springfield. Danny is an agent in San Antonio, and this is kind of a cool case study because it's not just about her growing her business. It's actually about her growing her business and actually working less. And so obviously there's a lot of case studies and testimonial videos you'll see from different companies about someone claiming to have grown their business, right? But how often do you see someone who in a video says, yeah, I grew my business and now I'm actually working less and spending more time with my family, not less, right? So Danny's business actually grew by 200,000 in GCI, which is amazing. So not 50,000, not 100,000 increase. She actually is now making about $200,000 more every year. And her husband, Travis, is an engineer. She's making enough money now that her husband quit his engineering job. It actually made financial sense to allow him to quit his engineering job to join her real estate team. So now they get to spend even more time together because Travis is working with her. They get to spend more time with their kids. They're constantly going to baseball tournaments on the weekends. She has 3 really, really cute boys that all play like traveling baseball. And she's making more money now and working less, right? Like that just wouldn't be possible without this high hanging fruit platform system, right? Because usually if you grow your business, it means you're working more hours, not fewer hours. But Danny has increased her business dramatically by about 200K in GCI, and she's actually working less. I mean, you can see in this video here, one of her kids when they started filming, because it's actually her kid holding the camera here on this video, threw like a yellow ball at her to start the video, which I just think is hilarious. But it just goes to show that like she's actually spending more time with her family, even though her business has grown exponentially.
Hi, I'm Danny Springfield in San Antonio. My platform story starts, I've been in business and real estate for about 5 years. When I signed up, I was plateauing at about 13 to 15 million a year. I had another agent on board with me, but I knew that we could get a little bigger and do a little better. Most importantly, I wanted to do that in a scaled fashion. So signing up with Platform enabled me to build my business to about $20 million a year, but where I'm spending more time, I have 3 little kids, where I'm spending more time with them. My husband actually left his engineering job to join my team, and that has been such a godsend for our family. Our quality of life has increased dramatically, and we owe a lot of that to Platform. The biggest change has been the quality of leads, so you're not spending all your time chasing ones that aren't very good, and maybe even most importantly for me, has been that Platform, it gets me in front of my sphere for referral business so easily with very little effort on my part. So I'm a happy client. I'm happy to answer any questions you have, and I'm really just thankful to be part of the Platform family. Thanks.
Cool. So notice she said Platform family, that she's thankful to be part of the Platform family. That's something that our clients have actually started saying. Because we only work with one realtor per market, it's kind of like an exclusive little club. And I didn't start using this word. Our actual clients have started using it, like the family. And so they'll call it PlatFam or the Platform Family. We even started a Facebook group that's private only for the members of Platform, and we call it like the Platform Family Facebook group. We're actually getting shirts made too to send to all of our clients that just say Platform Family, because it feels that way. You know, there's not thousands of realtors using Platform around the country. There's only about 100 or so, right? So it is kind of like a family, and they're willing to share with each other what's working and how they're growing their businesses and all that, because we only work with one real estate agent per market. So Danny here is in San Antonio. She's totally willing to share what's working for her, because like she knows that no one else in the Platform family is in San Antonio, because she gets the whole of San Antonio market. So she'll share what's working for her because no one's going to compete against her, because we only work with one realtor per market, right? So if you want results like that, that Danny's getting, check out www.platformmarketmap.com, right? And we can get you set up on that trial month. Now, the last video I want to show you here, I'm skipping by so many testimonials, but there's one last video I want to show you here, the final one. But this is Justin. He's in West Virginia. Here's one in Louisiana. This is a client we have in Hawaii. This is a client we have in College Station, Texas. So I'm like skipping over all these videos. This is Wichita, Kansas. This is Pensacola, Florida. So I'm skipping over all these videos because I want to show you one. I want to show you one that we have that's at the very end here. This is Debbie Kaler, and she's in rural Minnesota, in a small town in kind of central Minnesota, where her entire county only has, I think, like 35,000 people. The entire county only has 35,000 people. But I skipped all those other slides so that I could show you this video. But keep in mind with Platform, again, it's not just a lead generation system. Yes, we're going to set up your Facebook ad campaigns for you, but we're also going to build retargeting campaigns. We also queue up the email follow-up sequences to your leads. We queue up text message follow-up sequences to your leads. You get a one-on-one personal coaching call with us every single week. And it's not a group coaching call. So there's not like 100 other agents on it. It's a one-on-one private personal coaching call with us every single week, where we coach you on how to follow up and how to convert the leads, right? We even edit all of your videos. So on top of managing all your lead gen and your ad campaigns for you, if you send us videos like a monthly market update video, or you film listing video tours of your listings, we will edit all those videos for you, put them on YouTube, set up Facebook retargeting campaigns with those videos. We do all that for you. So it's like having a full-blown marketing staff, right? So when you hire a Platform, it really is like having a personal marketing department. That's why our agents are getting such good results. So the story of Debbie, I'll set this up here because if I just showed you the video, it almost sounds too good to be true, right? Debbie it's kind of a rags to riches story. Debbie was broke as an agent. She was one of the least performing agents in her entire association. And now she's actually the top agent in her association, and the top agent for her brokerage in the entire state of Minnesota. And so how did that happen? Well, she hired Platform, right? Platform blew her up and established a brand for her in her area and generated hundreds of leads a month. And she went from being broke to being the top agent in her brokerage, not just in her association, but in the entire state of Minnesota. She was broke, by the way. I'm not exaggerating that. The very first listing that we ran an ad for to promote with a Platform Facebook ad was actually her own house, because she was behind on her mortgage payments and she was worried that she was actually going to lose the house to the bank to foreclosure. So she actually sold her own house because she couldn't afford to live there anymore because she was behind on payments. Right, so that's how bad things were. I mean, which is obviously kind of embarrassing for a real estate agent, right, to be in that position. So that's how much her business had slowed down. With the last money she had, she basically had nothing to lose. She hired Platform and paid for some marketing campaigns, and business blew up, and her life has never been the same since. Now, she's a top agent in her area. She bought a brand new Jeep. She bought a lake home on like one of the most prestigious lakes in Minnesota, like a $500,000 lake home. And it's just the most cool, classic American rags to riches story ever. But it's such a cool story that if I'm telling you this, I can kind of tell you, you probably don't believe me right now because it sounds a little bit too cliche. It sounds like too good to be true, right? So we actually hired a documentary film crew and we flew them there to interview her and create a documentary about Debbie's story because it's such a cool before and after story about what's possible with the platform marketing system if you're a realtor. So I will shut up. I will let Debbie tell her story in her own words, but keep in mind, this is what's possible with the platform marketing philosophy. So if you want results like this, if you want to just catapult your brand forward, generate hundreds of leads a month, and be the top agent in your market, if you want results like this, if you want to use the same marketing system Debbie is using even today, we can get you set up on a trial month at www.platformmarketmap.com. All right, here's Debbie's story.
Okay, so I love this car. I've always wanted a Jeep Rubicon, always. Never thought I'd be able to get one, especially that I could just write out a check for, actually. But I was in platform for about 6 months when my other car actually blew up, and I just kind of thought, what am I doing? I can afford what I want. So drove onto the lot with that wreck and drove off with this Rubicon with only 6 miles on it, which was a fantastic day.
And so I want you to meet Debbie Kaler. The platform strategy literally rescued her career. After the housing market crashed, she was struggling to make a living. Now she's driving a brand new car, bought a new lake home, and business is better than ever. Her story is just incredible. So we'll let her share the details. This is the power of the platform strategy.
Hi, I'm Debbie Kaler. I'm a realtor in a very small town in west central Minnesota. Population just a little over 2,000. So it's a tough market. We have a lot of agents around here. In fact, I would say we are saturated because everybody, for some reason, thinks that real estate is the fast, easy money, easiest thing you can get into. So I got into real estate in 1990 and always did pretty well, probably in the top 10, 15, and then the market crashed. And being a single person, that was tough. I ended up losing my house, my car, pawned all my jewelry. I literally had nothing left other than the clothes on my back.
So, as I said, Debbie's story is one of the coolest platform stories I've ever heard. After 20 years in the business, things were so slow, she was about to quit real estate entirely and find a new career. She was applying for jobs around the country, just trying to find something to pay the bills. And then she discovered platform.
So thinking this is it, I have to get out of real estate permanently, even though I loved it. They found out my story and they said, you know, we have this young guy that does marketing for us, you should give him a try. So I was desperate and I decided, all right, I'm going to meet him. It turns out his name is Tim Schermack. And he came over and talked to me and started telling me about platform, and I thought this is entirely too good to be true. There's no way anything is that good that's going to take me from about being homeless, literally homeless, to actually being able to stay in this business and make it. But humor me, I'll listen to him. So I meet him. He gave me the good sales pitch. Out of frustration, I hired him. And only because that day in the mail, the very last check had come from my retirement account. Very last check. And I knew it wasn't going to carry me through anyway, so what's the big deal? I might as well gamble. I threw it at him and said, all right, big talker, you think you can do this? Do it. I bet it was 3 weeks later, leads started to come in like crazy, and they started rolling in. I'm not kidding. And pretty soon I didn't have time for that other job I took. I was back into real estate. And here we are 2.5 years later. And I went from number 47 in my association up to number 2.
So Debbie went from having no money, literally losing her home, to being the number 2 agent in her entire association. I love this story. It's such an authentic example of the power of platform. The entire community noticed how quickly Debbie built her brand. Remember, building your business is as simple as building a list of people who trust you. Not just a database, but a list of people who trust you.
So one of the fun things with platform was I had so many friends say, you know, when the market crashed, we thought you were done. That was it. We thought your business was going under, that you were done, no more Debbie. And it's like you came back with a vengeance. All of a sudden we see videos all over the place and your signs are going up all over the place. And now you're really showing other people how it's done. I actually had a couple of my competing agencies come and try to recruit me with their company. So it's like, no, I turned them down. I mean, they're like, don't you want to work for, and then they'd say their name because they're bigger names in the area. I don't have a big name. You know, Lakes Area Realty, Debbie Kaler Real Estate, and I don't have the big banners, the big balloons, anything like that. And it's like, you know what? I don't need you. I'm doing fine on my own. They didn't like that very well, but I've pretty much buried most of them, which is a great feeling. And it's all because of platform. I went from, said, bottom of the barrel, thinking that I was going under, to a place I never thought I would be. And it's because of the marketing. And that happened rather quickly, actually. I would say within 3 months, people started to make comments about, wow, you came back strong. And by 6 months, it was, wow.
Amazing. So let's take a behind-the-scenes look at Debbie's office and get a feel for what her daily routine looks like when the leads are flowing in.
So I just want to give you a behind-the-scenes look at what Platform has done for me. Just in this last week, I've gotten 3 pages of leads. The ones that are crossed off are the ones that I've actually come in contact with, I've had phone conversations with, or even met them for coffee. I've got 2 listing appointments out of it so far, and for sure 1 buyer, probably 2, maybe even 3. So it's been great that way. It keeps me busy. It keeps me in contact with people. But I really want to show you personally what it's done for me. So my dream car was always a Jeep Rubicon. And after working with Platform for, I don't know, about 6 months, I was finally able to get one. Brand new, right off the lot. And it only had 6 miles on it. So it was glorious. Working with Platform and really working the program, if you work it, it works. So if you've been in it and say that it doesn't work, it's only because you're not doing anything with it. I have proof, because what I'm going to show you is the property I was able to buy, and it may not be huge, but it is on a premier lake. It's on Green Lake, which used to be the 2nd purest lake in the world. It's completely renovated. I can't wait to show it to you. So, you know, we're going to go there right now and take a look.
You know, I'm reminded of that classic quote from Zig Ziglar. You can have whatever you want in life if you'll just help other people get what they want. This is the very essence of the Platform strategy. Just serve people. Before you ever ask for anything, provide value. Be the most helpful real estate agent in your market. As you'll see, it worked for Debbie, and it can work for you too.
I paid plenty for it just because it is where it is. But it is a Frank Lloyd Wright house, which does mean something, so I wanted to keep his design. And that's another reason I renovated what was there instead of tearing it down. It is a $500,000 house in a community where everything, the average price is $150,000. So it's an accomplishment. I never thought I would be able to do that. So we're almost at my humble cottage. So not only was I able to buy this new car, but Platform also allowed me to buy my new lake home.
This is cool because she
So
show
this
you
is the lake
inside.
home that I bought, and I was able to renovate the whole thing. What we're standing in was actually just a screen porch. Going into the kitchen, I was able to put in all new countertops, new flooring, all new appliances, took out some walls, added some windows, opened up the living room. This was a couple tiny rooms before. But what I love about this place is this epic view of Green Lake, and thanks to Platform, I get to enjoy it every day.
So again, if you want results like that, just check out www.platformmarketmap.com and we'll get you set up on a trial month of the platform marketing system for realtors. Just so you guys know, the average agent with platform actually gets about 200 leads a month. That's the average. That's not me like cherry picking a best case scenario. That's the actual statistical average. Agents average about 200 leads a month with platform. So that's how we're growing people's businesses so quickly. So if you want to get set up on that trial month, just go to platformmarketmap.com and we'll get you set up on that trial month where we will build all of your lead gen campaigns for you, right? All you have to do, because we're doing everything else for you, all you have to do is follow up with warm leads, right? So I'm going to have Mitch send you guys a follow-up email. He'll include actually a checklist of all the things we do for you, just in case you're curious on more of the specifics of what platform actually manages for you on a monthly basis, you know, in addition to all the Facebook ads and everything. So I'll have Mitch shoot you an email with that checklist so you can do some more research. But again, if you want to get set up on that trial month, just go to www.platformmarketmap.com. Thanks, guys.